So 小孩子单独会画这些，画在地上，画在厨。我会觉得 ，if 你买 off the shelf，even 你小孩子画也不会这样心痛。
我刚才就讲 wardrobe 不要放啊，
我的女儿不一样，
有 double standard。你会觉得说 father 的角色是不是只是在负责还钱？
在这个问我这个问题吗 ？Do we have a choice? My wife happy can we? I only look at the number behind.
Blind spot 盲点哦，其实就是child safety 的最大的问题来的。
很多 homeowner 不懂，他们就是以为我们叫他们做 curve 是为了要赚他们的钱，我觉得是真的是有在帮他们。
Renovation isn't just about tiles and moodboards. It's about people and the personalities, as well as the stories that help make the decisions. I'm Astley Ng, aka The Designer. Join me for the Season 2 of the SIXiDER Show. Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of the SIXiDER Show. I'm your host, Astley Ng, aka The Designer. We are in Season 2 of our SIXiDER Show, and today's special is actually the Father's Day special. So joining me are two fathers and me, I'm also father. Okay, and in this episode, right, we're trying to talk about parenting and how fatherhood shapes our designing and our design intent. And joining me today, we have Shawn from Design Living and Calvin Chen from CAL Design. So 30 seconds for Shawn. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Shawn from Design Living. I'm a manager, I think for 4 to 5 years already.
Calvin?
Hi everyone, I'm Calvin from CL Design. This is my 26 years in my industry doing design, interior, and I think for another 20 years at least.
Super 老教. Calvin is not the first time in our podcast. Previously we did one-on-one, then now like a two-on-one. Okay, anyway, so we go to 正题 about fatherhood and design intent. Maybe let's say now that both of you are parents, right? And just now before the shoot, Shawn actually shared with me that you have a child of 5 years old, a daughter of 5 years old. And then Calvin has the two boys. One is 16.
And one is 16.
Okay. Let's talk about maybe from Shawn's perspective. How has fatherhood helped you see, when you're designing for, let's say, a young couple who wants to reno?
Okay, so 因为我自己有一个5岁的女儿嘛，so 小孩子单独会画这些，画在地上，画在厨。So usually 我会 suggest client that maybe for 这种 age gap 的人，小孩子啦，尽量不要做 built-in 先 ，cause they will tend to outgrow，他们的 needs 全部都不一样。所以我会 recommend 他们啦 ，maybe get off the shelf one or something。maybe 为他们大一点、懂事一点，才 start to 做 built-in 也不会太迟。你现在给他们，等他们就去画你的厨。很多 homeowner 喜欢那种白色、奶白色，画一下肮脏擦不掉。所以我会觉得 if 你买 off the shelf，even 你小孩子画也不会这样心痛。
OK， 你呢？什么看法？
I have similar thoughts like what Shawn has mentioned. When kids are young, we usually recommend them if you want to buy off the shelf would be more ideal. Reason being, kids nowadays, they like certain cartoon characters, superheroes, that kind of thing, So if they want to have an Iron Man bed and wardrobe, if you already built one, they can't have it. And of course, speaking from own experience, as a designer myself, I used to design the room for my son. And after they reach the age, when they go to primary school, they tell me, I don't want to have a platform bed. I don't want to be so close to a brother. I want to separate. They want you to redo the room for them. Then when they go to secondary school, they have another request again. So being through all this, of course, we always like to share this with our clients who are young parents. Just advise and share. If they think that it's still all right to build, of course, we definitely will do it for them.
Let's say they are not young parents, but they are young couples that will eventually become parents. How would you be treating it? Like, for example, space planning. 我们讲一些不切实际的设计啦。你可以想象，就是一个年轻夫妇，他忽然间拿到他的第一次的家嘛，然后他想要说他的房间里面想要有 walk-in wardrobe，那很可能就是说在5年之内他没有卖的话，他可能会生孩子。生了孩子的话，就会有 baby 要在一个 baby cot 里面的嘛。那 cot 是在走廊呢，还是在那个 walk-in wardrobe 里面？你们会遇到这样的状况吗？你们会去怎么样去跟那个顾客去介绍、解释？
我 quite standard 啦。Before 我帮 client 做 space planning， 我会问他们说 if it's BTO， 我会问这5年会不会卖？so standard 啦。现在年轻人很喜欢做 walk-in wardrobe 嘛，then 他们做了，然后我就会问他们 if 你有打算5年卖 ，OK， but 这5年有没有打算生孩子 因为 as 一个 married couple， 他们都会懂啦，他们的 planning， 他们的 stage 在哪里到哪里 ，financial 够不够读生孩子这些。So if 他们讲没有，我就会帮他们做那些 space planning 哦。But if 那些有的话，我会来劝他们哦，尽量是不要，还是 we make do with what we can 啦。So walking wardrobe 不一定是要打通房间也是嘛。So still doable, it's not impossible 啦。
Your thoughts?
I mean, as a designer, we also like an advisor to them lah. So usually we will ask them more information lah. Of course, nobody will know whether they get pregnant or not. Sometimes it may be an accident. But also need to understand, if let's say you do have a baby, what is your plan? You like the Angmoh style? Put your baby in another room? Or you like the Asian style? Baby must be right next to you or on your bed. Then that would definitely understand how we're going to plan the space for you.
You have your kids for quite some time already, and then when you are looking at it from a designing point of view, right, from kid safety lah, are there things that before you became a parent and now that you are a parent for some time, how you treat kid safety in design? How do you see this differently now?
Honestly, even before I become a father, I'm actually very particular about safety. So even when I'm like in my 20s, when I just started in industry, we have clients who have babies, young kids and all that. We have to consider into the corners, whether the space is enough, especially for living hall, like in a HDB, is a bit small. So are there space for them to play around, run around, cycle in the house, that kind of stuff?
Cycle in the house?
Yeah, some kids actually do that, right? Or school in the house. So, of course, we have to understand from the parents, what their hobbies and everything. Yeah, so we need to understand their lifestyle and everything, then we can start to plan. So we have to look into all this kind of safety, whether this thing is durable, whether, if let's say they have a high bed, a platform bed, will they fall from a bed, all this kind of stuff. Too near the window, you need to have grills for safety and all this. These are all the factors that we will actually look into and advise.
Okay. Shawn, which family member is usually in your opinion, right, 比较难设计的？
I think young age 吧，那种 toddler 啦，比较难啦。
什么原因？
他们都没办法 voice 他们要什么，都是爸爸妈妈帮他们做主嘛。
对。
所以 when 他们去到 primary school， 他们就会有自己的主见了嘛。So from there 就有点头痛啊，要这个要那个。
I think I agree to a certain point 啦，就是室内设计啊，你就 design to a certain extent 是 permanent 的，因为你设计完了之后你要做嘛，做了它就是可能在那边一段时间，所以它是一个 permanent 的东西。然后上几集我们其实有跟几个设计师有谈过，就是 form and function， 然后讲 function 很重要。可是 in the case like 小孩子，他的 function 一直在变。
对。
从他要喝奶、换尿片，到他开始会画画，到他吃东西，到他读书、上课、有女朋友，上网这种东西呢，他的 function 一直在变。他每次在 function 在变的话，那你怎么去做？那 interior design 一天到晚帮他设计吗？那有没有一个 ideal world whereby 这个 design 是可以 grow 于那个 child 的，从小到 timeless 的。I mean 以前不懂你们有没有看过啦，就是在一个在 Marina Square 有一间店叫好像是做 Ergo Furniture 的，然后那个家具其实是那个椅子都可以真的是可以跟他一起 grow 的，把这些都是算是家具啦，它不是一个 permanent 的东西啊。What about you? Have you encountered something like that before?
You mean design furnitures that grow with the kids?
To a certain extent, yeah.
I mean, customized furniture, we can't really grow as much as what you mentioned, those kind of loose furniture. But of course, we can cater to some stuff. Of course, like a study table, I mean, you can pair with an office chair that you can actually changes the height. As time grows, when they are taller, you need to reduce. That's one thing that you can do with table size. Of course, nothing much of a design, but practicality is it must have a decent size for them to do their project, to their work. So we need to understand that when you go to primary school, how much of a space you need to put their assessment book, put their PC and all that. So you don't design something like just for a kindergarten or nursery child for now. And in there, when you go to primary school, the table is too small, you have to change again.
I ask this question, like today, there are a lot of these 升降桌子嘛 right? And is that why in the market that actually the motto is good enough that right now it's taking a smaller size table, but as the child go bigger, right, 它的 table size 就变大嘛，重量也比较大，它可能要放的东西像一个 CPU， 然后这个升降也还是可以升降，对吗？它只是说它现在它的台面换了一个比较大、比较重一点的。有没有一个商家像这样的，有做这样的东西的？你们认识吗
Secret Lab 这些都有啊，
都可以啊。
对。
So in this case, what we are thinking of is that 因为以现在的科技其实是有一些东西是可以 integrate together 啦，只是大厨这些东西是像刚才你讲的，就是 not advisable 去做啦。因为 I can imagine 啊，因为现在5岁的衣服，那衣服才这样大
对，
你折到来好才不像现在我的底裤的 size 这样根本都没有 consume 多少。你做一个大厨 end of day 其实是 end up 是大人在用Okay, let's move on to this question. Right? What's one feature Singapore family always ask that sounds good in theory but becomes impractical later?
I think for Island 吧，Island 最占位了嘛。对，so 我有做过它是一个4房，so as you know BTO 4房现在很小嘛，
是，
对，它的 Island 就直接绑在那 kitchen and dining 的中间，
所以还有个 dining table， 还有一个 island，
对，so
理想化啦。
他硬要，我就是有 advice 不要，把他们还是要做咯。So over the years， 他就 text 我讲要把 island 拆掉。我话怎么嘞？他讲因为那时没有孩子也是，现在有孩子了，then 要推那个 baby cot 很难。
是
那个，因为我们 cater 的位 normally 都是800、900的位嘛。对，然后孩子就是冲到这边，冲到那边，所以我就跟他讲哦，来，我已经跟你讲过了，不要做。
I told you so。还有一件东西就是说，就是没有生过孩子不懂，可是生了孩子哦，孩子放在客厅，人在厨房，人在厕所，都一直很担心。
对，
所以我们叫做line of sight 啊，就是说我们站在这里哦，我们这样看，这样看，这样看，都能看得到。所以当你有一个 island， 可能就是有盲点。所以所谓的这种室内设计啊，我会觉得说，在 initial 跟 young parents 啊，或者是年轻夫妇结婚的时候。他们要找设计师的时候，这些东西要 discuss 的 ，because they don't know that there's this functional requirement， and blind spot 盲点哦，其实就是child safety 的最大的问题来的。Anything to add to that?
I think there are also some is like they didn't think far enough to plan for the future lah. Especially nowadays Singaporeans families, right? Usually parents only have 1 or 2 child. So eventually when your parents age, they may need to stay with you. Then that comes to when just like Shawn said, a lot of people like to hack in a room, become a walk-in wardrobe. In the end, they don't have a spare room. When their parents need to come to stay over, right, then they have an issue. So they always call and say, oh, how can I seal back the room? Can I remove all my wardrobe because now I need extra room for my parents?
Have you ever done a project where there are many 几代同堂 one? And what's let's see who has the most?
20多年 experience 应该比较多啊。
很难讲啊，
老前辈。
Normally is their children and their parents so usually 3代 only
3代啦，就是 grandparents, parents, and then got kids
Yeah.
Difficult to design
No.
Easy
Why is there a difficulty?
No, of course because let's say grandparents, right, they have visual issues, like they usually tend to want very bright lights. They also are not comfortable with dark colors. Like I think younger people, they prefer dark colors. They're okay with also warm white lighting. But older folks, they prefer white light. Yeah.
So I don't think that classified difficult.
Okay.
There's just more requirements.
More challenging.
Well, it's part and parcel of life, right, being a designer. So I guess actually nowadays a lot of grandparents, they're actually very easygoing. I mean, you want to stay with your kids, you want to be nasty, man, I want this, I want that. Sometimes your kids also don't want. So usually a lot of parents are always like, oh, I'm okay, I just need a wardrobe, I just need a bed. I mean, if you're talking about special cases like maybe they can't really see well or they have movement issues, then of course we have to consider all this factor in. Like maybe in their parents' room, we need to have something brighter. In the common area, the living, dining, all this, we can have smart lightings. So we can customize to different requirements. When parents, they need a brighter light, we can set to like a scene that is actually gives brighter lighting. But if the kids want to have a more cozy ambience with their children in the living hall, they can go to another lighting which sets the color tone to maybe only about 50%. So that's what we do to cater for different generation. And to get kids to go to rest, maybe at 7+ in the evening, we can tone down again to 20-30% of the lighting. So kids will know that, oh, it's time to go to bed. I will start to slow down, won't be so active anymore.
Have you ever done a 3 generation?
A few times only.
A few times
So
only.
far 最 challenging 一定是他的 grandparents 跟我讲，他们自己也是要一个客厅哦。
怎么做呢？没有办法，对吗
？structure 真的是整个那些可以敲的墙，我们敲到完，整个重做。
他的明本不是什么，因为他要招待。
不是，也是因为小孩子要看卡顿嘛，老人家没有可能坐在那边跟他们看卡顿嘛，对不对？连老人家也不喜欢一直这样看着电话，说他们的 requirement 也不会很难 ，OK， 就是做一个很像做一个客厅出来，可以放电视机在那边看戏。把那个花蛮多钱啦，就是真的是整个敲到完重做。
It's a fact that 我们的 parents 会老的嘛，渐渐慢慢的老，我们也跟着老，对吗？
你的 age 跟我们 age 不一样。
反正的 point of trying to say 就是 it's a fact 啊，可能不方便或者是不想去谈，可是会有这个 possibility 说，可能会有一天你妈妈或者你爸爸不方便了，很难走了。那我们在做设计师或者装修是一个永久的一个 element 来的。那我们是不是在坐在那边面对那 customer 的时候，知道他有一个60多岁、70多岁的 parents， 虽然很健全，可是你敢说吗？你敢拿出来讲说，你们有没有想过会有这样的情况？然后这样做可能会 future plan 啊，把你的 reno cost 会更高。
So far 我是 straightforward 的人来的啦，所以我会直接跟他们讲，I mean 现在 customer 都很聪明啦，所以你跟他这样讲。他们懂你是真的为他好的啦，不是我要真的要骗你，我可以后面才全部加进去的。所以我已经upfront已经跟你讲好了，这些东西你要做不要做，就是 up to 你们 owner 了嘛。
If let's say we know that they have an elderly parent, although they do not have this requirement now, we always advise them. Let's say it's an old HDB flat. Going to the kitchen, there's a drop in the floor. So we will advise whether would you want to do a topping up to level up the whole area.Or maybe in the future, if you really require, you don't want to do a topping up, we can do a ramp or something like that. So all these things we have to highlight to them. Going into the bathroom, there's a curb, especially for older houses. Yeah, so all these things they have to consider in the future. If they really need to handle all this, are they able to? If they can't, then what can we do now? We'll propose to them. Yeah.
我跟我妈妈坐下来谈过，我说有时候我注意到，然后就算是你来我家，每次去我厨房，她都会这样跨一步嘞，然后我就想说，我就找到一句话来形容说，我说你走路在我家，你没有信心，没有信心哎。然后发现这是一个真的东西，就是说他在一个陌生的环境他每次都会没有信心踩，尤其那个颜色就是地砖，哪怕是 level 他都有一个感觉说其实是有一个高低，他有点怕，
因为有时候他们眼睛不太好，
是，
所以他们会有这个恐惧啦。
对 ，I think that as 我们新加坡人现在越来越老化嘛。And it's a possibility. Don't just say we design for them 啦，so design for ourselves 啊。像我的老化到很严重了，所以有时候我自己也是没办法。So end up at the end of the day 我会发现太亮也不行，太暗也不行。所以 it's like 你跟孩子一起长大，有时候这种所谓的你要 design 到很universal， 可是又要很 permanent， 那你干脆很难跟设计师讲。所以你就很多东西不敢就是不会去说出来了。那做出来的东西不切实际。我们现在很极端了，刚刚讲到 parents 嘛，现在我们讲到小孩啊，小孩有个很有可能性说会想要有 pets， 有没有？有。所以你现在家里养什么？
我现在家里没有养。
他有没有闹着说想要养 pets？
so far 没有啦，他要的都是那种小小的样的东西啦 ，hamster 这种啦吧。so far 还没有买啦。我
的比较小的8岁了，他是他要狗，他要猫，我不要，因为我以前养过，我不要去打理这些啊。所以说 until 那个孩子大到他自己会去打理，不然就变成是我的事，所以我不要去动。所以那我们就养些小样的东西，鱼啊，还有去外面抓草蜢啊。我的意思是，其实这种东西变成是你得 provision 的，不然的话，整个家看起来好像是一个 science lab 啊。So like for challenges for this kind of thing 你们有没有去 future proof 你的那个就是你 customer 的那种孩子这5年的成长？因为现在，尤其现在你有一个5岁的孩子嘛 ，the next 5年从5岁到10岁你 more or less 应该会想到说他会有什么样的一个 needs，studying hobby arts and craft。那你现在的家呢？要是给你一个理想的情况你可以重新再做，你会做什么给他？
对我没有什么会改变的呀。
你说那个很喜欢画嘛，对吗？
对。
你不会想到说放 whiteboard 给他吗？
没有用啊，他放whiteboard也是会画我的厨，画地上。小孩子你没办法 control 的嘛。有时工人在煮东西，一转眼你看你整个厨都是被画到很乱的，没有办法了嘛。
你那个厉害的，他真的是以后会做设计师。
可能以后会 inherit 我啊，希望是啊。
你呢？
当然，你也是要考虑到 whether it's a boy or a girl，对吗？So have very different things， 所以actually 有点难 predict， 因为有的女孩子不一定是喜欢玩女孩子的东西，可能她们也很 sporty like boy stuff。有些 boy 可能你觉得他应该是很 sporty 的，有篮球、有什么羽毛球拍这一大堆，and in the end 他也去喜欢手印，做一点 art and craft。So how do we predict? Very hard, but we can cater a space for them to become a multi-purpose area. Whether they want to have pets or they want to do craft and all that, I think that's easier than we really think of something that have not happened and in the 5 years time down the road.
I like this idea of 一个 multi-purpose area, like especially after COVID, right? 大家都是闷到发黄嘛，一个角落做一点 arts and craft， 一个角落做一点植物，一个角落做你的 work from home， 一个角落做你们的 Zoom call。会不会在这段期间啊 ，from COVID until now， 你们会有这种所谓的 special corners 啊，在 space planning 里面？
有so far after COVID 有很多 client require 一个 work from home office 咯，就是 require 他们敲掉半墙放 fixed panel， 就是里面就是一个 work area 而已咯。
因为我们讲到 multi-generational house 嘛，the reality 就是除了很大 space 以外就是有杂音啦，对吗？有很多所谓的 pollution 啊，我们讲的就是光线啊，好像有些人想要睡迟一点，可是那个可能那个窗口啊 whatever， 然后外面又听到很多声音了，然后屋内呢又可能开始看电视啊，种种的。So are there things that we can do to like really design for this？ 可以 imagine 一个18岁的去当兵了回来，他是周末的时候，家人都起来了，可是他还想要睡觉嘛，这样的这种情况呢 ，soundproofing 很重要，对吧？然后可能灯光啦，或者是 like window treatment。Any advice?
I think window treatment more straightforward 啦。to understand the customer needs, whether 他们是见光就死的，还是they are okay。I mean， 当过兵的人，其实我跟你讲，不需要 total blackout 的。
当过兵哪里都可以睡觉啊。
你累了哪里都可以躺，你还要什么 total blackout？ 所以其实这也不是一个问题。Soundproofing 我觉得也不是个大问题。这么多人在喊，你在帮里面睡觉还是睡得很好啊。
反正我想问的其实是从一个技术上的一个 HDB， 要是说我们想要装 soundproofing 的 window 可以吗？
没有问题啊 ，as long as 这个 supplier 是 BCA registered window contractor 批准的，都可以啊。
所以我们其实可以做 double glazing 在 HDB 的，
只要是 approved 的没有问题啊，
都可以的啦，
都可以啊。
一般的 double glazing 大概会多少钱？靠百 per square feet， right？
对啊，你在这个问我这个问题吗？这应该是问 Windows supply 的问题吧？
大概就想知道，就是说 ，if today 我们想要说帮这个18岁的当兵的男孩，我们要给他好的这个block out color 可灯，然后我们想要有 soundproofing 的这个 main room bedroom door， 还有就是那个 soundproofing 的这个 double glaze window。
我们以 percentage 来讲吧，
会比普通的多少
？So if a normal aluminium window， 它的 cost compared to 你要一个 soundproofing really good soundproofing， PVC extruder 的话看的 window right， 最少都 2.5 times。2.5
times。Yeah。大这么多。
对。Then if you're talking about like room door, you want to be soundproof, you want to have drop seal, you want to have rubber seal all at the sides， 那 easily 也是可能要多1倍了。
1倍啊。So if that today can get one door for $400, I pay about $800.
Yeah, but that is if let's say your door frame is already those kind of quality, but if it's not right, you still need to change your door frame. Then the cost will also go up already.
Just basically bring down lah, cannot 100% cover completely one lah.
Yeah, definitely. The easiest way is to blindfold yourself and wear a headphone. And that's save all the costs.
So now I ask Shawn 刚才他就讲到，我们讲到的是那个 NS boy 嘛，现在我们讲的是一个有 grandparents 来住的厨房，跟一个 normal 没有 grandparents 来住的厨房，设计起来有 difference 吧
？I think entrance way 吧，那个 kitchen entrance， 有些我做比较多 close concept。OK，so 他们会 prefer 他们的 entrance 900、1000。对，说有老人家看有没有轮椅啊，有轮椅我们就要 cater 更大的位，大概1200、1300，比较容易 access。
Then in terms of 那个 utilitarian 呢，我们讲说 可能年轻人会比较喜欢那种电炉 induction， 然后老人家还是可能是不会用啦，然后要看到火啦，直到它送，有没有这样的？
因为没有嘞，我没有 encounter 过诶。他们说法，我看的年轻人也是蛮喜欢用火的嘞。跟我讲没有 wok 灰的味道，他们不喜欢呢。
在家没有 wok 灰的啦，哪有 wok 灰的啦？主要烧焦才会有啦。Okay, anything for you in the kitchen?
Kitchen wise, actually nowadays a lot of parents, young parents when they are kids they prefer to go for induction. Reason being, of course, is safety And kids nowadays they watch a lot of YouTube videos and stuff. They love to cook on their own. Personally, myself, I experienced before when my kid was still very young. Sunday early in the morning, I hear a lot of king in the kitchen, and when I went out and see, wow, my God, they're cooking omelette. And then they say, Daddy, your omelette. Wow, on one hand, you're like so touched, impressed. On the other hand, you're like so worried, but hey, my one is an induction, What if it's open fire? Then there could be other risks. So with this past experience of mine, I always share with my clients, if you're young kids, are you thinking of safety? You want to change your induction? And of course, when the parents come, right, they were like, huh? 怎样用哦？平底的不会煮嘞，没有那种锅咩？我要蒸鱼都蒸不到，你懂吗？So there will be situation like this And of course, priority What is more important Safety, definitely. Parents, they age already. Sometimes they might be forgetful. They might also forget to turn off the fire. So induction is also a good thing for them.
Induction can auto switch off lah. Set timer or what?
Once your pot actually removed, it will actually cut off.
That's pure induction The hot plate one is not like that. You continue on and off, on
correct.
On and
so you have to buy the right one
The one with the timers and sensors
Yeah.
Okay. So in your opinion, right, would you think that actually when you're designing for someone that is going to really cook one, especially with like multi-generation people, family, it's more challenging or not? And I ask this is because aside from the heavy dutiness and all that, it's also like tabletop space requirements very different. My personal take is that I think the younger people, they don't cook, but they care about like the coffee machine. They care about
water dispenser.
Correct. But then the older folk is they want to have this bowl tang one slow cooker, then the rice cooker. So end of the day if multi-generation the tabletop we got space.
没有味啊。
没有味啊！现在的 HDB flat 那个 countertop 算到来 expose 有没有无扯？
有啦。
因为你要扣到北心嘛，
对，
扣到北心，扣到主炉嘛，等你再放这些煮饭你就是这么是这样一点点。
那你不要料吧，有些人两边的出，有些人一边的再加上冰厨，一定少过5 feet 啦。吧 if 你有两边就好啦，对面还有一个 preparation space 哦。
所以那时候那个要 island 的原因就是这样
something like that。
可是后来
又他们也发现到没有什么煮了，也不用那些 preparation space。
Okay, so homeowner 有3大组嘛，第一组就是那种 first time homeowner， 第一次买屋子然后装修，第二次就是 upgrade， 有孩子的可能有2个孩子，所以空间不够用，再买大一点的，然后要装修。第3个呢就是 silver gen， 孩子长大了，然后现在老2口我要装修，所以 based on 这3组啦，他们不同的时间来找你，你每一个人会给他什么样的一个建议
？So first time homeowner 我会 advise 他们，我会一样会问会不会打算5年卖掉，因为现在很多年轻人就是5年后卖掉 flip 那个钱买更大间的。So if you really decide 5年你要卖 ，try not to have so much built in 因为会 incur 很多 cost 嘛 carpentry。So as for 你的 second 的就是 upgrade 有孩子了过后，一样那个厨我就会跟他们讲。那个厨你们可以的话，就不要做 built in 先 ，until 你的孩子大一点、懂事了才来做 built in。OK，silver gen 的话会 advise 他们curve edge 这些，因为老人家眼睛不好。But 很多 homeowner 不懂，他们就是以为我们叫他们做 curve edge 是为了要赚他们的钱。But 我觉得是真的是有在帮他们的。
Okay, you?
First time homeowner, of course, we have to understand their lifestyle. Like what Shawn had mentioned usually yes. If they are thinking of planning for upgrading in the near future, of course, not too much of customized stuff. We do the basic needs and some enhancement to the important areas, for example, living hall. So at least every day you come home, you come to a space that is very cozy and nice. You will want to come back home. And maybe another one is a master bedroom. The rest of the area, we can keep it a bit more simple. Especially if you don't cook, then you just have a very basic kitchen will do. The other one, kids are grown up, you need more space. Of course, we have to understand that, okay, now kids is what kind of age range already. Let's say in primary school, there may be a chance that they want to move again because of secondary school. Or maybe next time when they go to JC and all that. So again, requirements to understand.
because of kids study.
I mean, as you know, I mentioned, right, 26 years in the industry, I have many clients that come back is, oh, my kids go into this school, I need to shift. My kids go to NUS, I need to shift nearer. Or I need to buy another house nearby. We have clients like that. Truthfully, a lot of parents really move house because of their kids. Yeah, a lot of loving parents.
Silver Gen?
Silver Gen, it's really time that they should keep their money in their bank, enjoy their life, really all the basic stuff. Yeah, that's what we will advise them. Okay, bathroom, all this, of course, if you buy a resale, we definitely advise you to redo. Make sure waterproofing all is done, safety features, grab bars and everything if you need. And then for wiring, let's say old house, same thing, advise to change everything so that when you're staying inside there, especially at this kind of old age, you wouldn't want to go through, oh, now my wiring has issue or my piping oxidized already, I need to change everything again. So these are things that we're telling, yes, maybe you need to spend a bit more on these things that you pay and you can't see because it's the basic stuff ma. But as long as you stay inside there, even 5 years, 10 years down the road, you don't have to worry. You don't need to shift out. You don't need to be breathing in all the dust during the renovation. Yeah.
Okay, this segment, right, it's about like the designer confession. But since today is the Father's Day special, right, I think I want to ask you all, like when you all observe the customer, 有些是扮演那些就是 father 的角色啦。然后他们在讲设计的时候，跟你们谈的时候，你会觉得说 father 的角色是不是只是在负责还钱？然后或者是他们也有说 very active in 的那个 design process and how much of the house 其实是扮演有 really play the part of what the husband requirements. Sorry, Shawn?
我觉得 usually discussion stage husband 会有了，会一起 involve 啦。But until renovation start， 那个 husband 还了钱过后就慢慢不见掉，都是老婆在跟我们来的时候。
为什么？
不懂嘞 ，maybe 老公比较忙啊，我觉得。要不然就是现在的老公都很 loving 啊嘛，全部我老婆说了算，她要什么就好，我负责还钱。Usually 都是这样。
年轻人是这样啊，老的还是这样啊。
老的更惨了，老的是我随便你啊，你帮我 design 就好啊。Usually 是这样的，我的。
你呢
？Mostly they always say my wife happy can already. Yeah, I only look at the number behind. Of course, we also have some customer very particular. They want certain things, but maybe you only in one area. Wow, I want to have room. I can watch movie. Got good sound system. That kind of stuff. Some is totally don't care. During the home meeting, they just there because they need to be there, playing their
Show
game.
face
Then the wife talking, the kids telling what they want. Then the husband just continue. Yeah, for the door. If not, later he sit by the side. He just finish meeting. Okay, go back. Also have. But I guess Singapore men, we are all very flexible and easygoing. 家里是老婆管的，她开心，我们开心。
Happy life, happy wife. Happy wife, happy life.
Happy wife, happy life. Yeah.
But what about like let's say like you know mommy's boy, daddy's girl, right? So for example, daddy's girl 嘛，just imagine 现在你有一个女儿嘛，对吗？现在你去找一个 designer， 你会不会忽然间讲到那个女儿的房间的时候，你就特别上心？
会啊，
会啊。来解释一下，你会来注重什么？你会怎么跟他交代？
我会注重他的 dresser area 一定要有啦。But 我的女儿现在5岁啦，还不需要啦。So 我是讲，可能她大了过后，我会 make sure 一定要有 dresser，storage 一定要够，因为女孩子喜欢穿 dress 嘛 ，long dress 这些，so 会 cater 好这些位置给她咯。
那刚才就讲 wardrobe 不要放啊。
我的女儿不一样，
有 double。
我的女儿不一样啊。So if 那个 parents 跟我一样这样疼女儿，我会做啊，我 OK。
第一胎嘛，那第二胎会有咖喱是儿子的，你觉得你会重视吗？
我会，
我会。
第二个是儿子后，我应该会给掉，我要多一个女儿。
要多一个女儿，哇 ！So really is true 啊，就是 like really daddy's girl And you and I never got there's this
Don't
girl
ask me
lah.
this question.
I'm going to ask you. So, if you had a daughter, then would you be more attentive when it comes to, let's say, her interior design?
Honestly, I don't know because I really don't have a daughter.
Never happened, so never think about
But
it.
if you ask me, I mean, nowadays a lot of girls, they not really very girly kind of girl. Doesn't mean a girl means they need to have a lot of clothing, they need to dress up a lot of accessories.
You sure
and
you
all
know girls? Or?
Not all, but only at times lah. But you know, some girls are really every day, the moment they step out of their house, they must be properly dressed, nicely dolled up. Wow, makeup must be there, or some kind of things. Yeah, I mean, if you have a daughter like that, then of course you have to really think about how to manage and give her all the wardrobe space that she needs. Yeah. And then probably she also is a caterpillar, and a lot of shoes, don't know where to put. Then daddy had to sacrifice only have 2 pair, the rest space give it to her.
现在刚才我们讲到就是说我们 as father 嘛 but 我们也是有我们的 father 的嘛 For example recently 我去找我妈 then 我就按那个门铃我按了门铃按了很久但是不会开门给我她的家 CCTV 是我装的那个 CCTV 是 IP camera 啦所以我基本上可以讲话的妈搞开门我就看得到我妈然后在那边所以在讲话他讲哇啦开门然后他就帮我开门然后后来我说我按门铃这样久你都没有看到没有听到然后他说没有听到这种情况啊其实除了那个 CCTV 啊你们还有什么一个来可以介绍的或者是可以提议的
Digital lock 哦
我自己进门啊
你有他是你妈妈你 I don't think 你还会觉得你进他家是错的啊
我会排斥要是他不是在一个 stage whereby 他 properly dressed 的话哇别赛
很难啊你应该不会看到老人家没有穿衣服在客厅走来走去吧
很难讲 But I agree yes digital lock you 呢
I mean, 如果 you say don't use a digital lock, what other means is another one is light indication. Yeah, your doorbell can be linked to a light. So that when
Bling,
you press
bling,
the doorbell, you blink, you can give it the red or the blue color, something more significant. Then at least you can see like, there's something blinking, you know someone is outside the door.
那你会觉得说这种所谓智能家具啊 like smart integration is it worth it or not? Especially if they're staying alone
If they're staying alone, definitely all this smart indication is a good thing because we can also monitor them. Not like we want to know where they go, what they're doing and all that, but we are concerned because we don't stay together. Whether, how come my mom haven't been calling me for a day? I don't know where is she, I call her, she never answer. At least I can check from the CCTV, is she at home? Or we can also set a location in her phone so that we know where exactly she is, all this kind of thing. You know, it's unlike when we were young, if we set this, it's more like tracing them. But now when they are elderly already, we need to know where they are. It's just for us to have a peace of mind.
Okay, this segment right is Astley Stirs and got my trusty bowl where these questions are like trying to disturb you all one. You all choose who you want to answer first.
老教去先咯
老教去
老的先死
老先死你们说好时间
不是我 choose 的咩？
我 choose 你要 choose 我 stir 你 choose
你 stir 我 choose
okay. As a designer, have you ever confidently designed something only for your child to completely use it differently? Oh yeah, your home.
Okay, so their room, right, was designed a way that we went to Japan for travel. And then we stay in a hotel room that has a platform with the very Japanese bed on the floor and everything. So they really love the concept. Just nice we're moving house. So they want this to be in their new room. So I designed exactly the same, with a backdrop, which is the window and 2 beds at the side. So that's where they start to sleep. But after some time, because the 2 brothers, right, the pillow cross over a bit or the bolster run over a bit, then start to fight. Then one start to migrate onto my bed, and then the other one still there. So in the end, that platform, right, is no longer like a bed for them, but it become their playground. So basketball hoops start to mount on the wall, then they start to shoot their basketball, play different kind of sports in that room. So it become like a
something very zen
platform.
become nothing like a zen become stadium.
Yeah.
So this clearly illustrates that even designers, right, we fall victim to a certain extent that we give the children what we want, what they want.
Do we have a choice?
And even if it's not what they want, right, it could be something that we want. We have this illusion, but children really grow up. It's like 你买鞋子都会买好大几号啦，因为你知道它会长大的。Therefore， 为什么装修屋子你就会想到说它会适合的这个嘞？好像说男的就一定要蓝色，女的就一定要 pink color。搞不好要跟你讲说 ，Daddy， 我是男的，可是我喜欢 pink color， 也有这可能性哦。One fine day， right?
Sure.
Yeah.
We never know.
Have you ever seen a space where the color choice completely ruined an otherwise good design?
So currently I think in the market 啦，OK， Wabi Sabi、Scandi 这些都是currently 比较流行的奶白色。所以我有 ever 做一间家，它整间都是奶白。Comes to 他的孩子的房间，他跟我讲他要油那种 dark blue， 他帮他儿子选的，不是他自己选，不是他的孩子选的。所以他油那个 dark blue 了啊。我原本要拍那个家的嘛，因为 as portfolio 嘛。我拍，我就跟我的那个拍照员，那个房间不要开 ，skip 掉，因为那个颜色我真的没有办法接受啊。
那个 not flow 啦，整个
flow 啊，
设计
你 OK， 我用的是一个叫做 Bonito Flex 啦，比较偏奶白这样的。你整间加奶白到突然有一个蓝色的，整个在那个房间，I think 有一点 off 啦。
人的孩子有没有接受？
孩子 I think don't have a choice 啊，他妈妈爸爸换钱的。
还太小啦。
But I think 他是青菜啦，可能。
So with that, right? Actually, 我们 move to the final segment, which is any advice that you all have for homeowners that whether your father, mother thinking about designing for your kids, or you are as a child designing for your own parents. Yeah, any advice?
Always have enough space 咯，要 cater 够位。因为如果我们讲 3 gen 3代同堂一起住的话，东西一定很多。So for now， 现在的人都是不用紧啊，我有 bomb shelter， 全部东西丢在里面。But I don't think it's enough for 3代同堂啦。So I think it's always must have enough space, storage 最重要对我。
I think communication is very important. The parents, the child, the grandchildren, we have to communicate with every one of them to really understand their hobbies, their needs, their requirement. And then we advise how we can plan out everything and cater for maybe 5 years down the road, kind of future-proof kind of things. We can't just accept what they want now and don't really go and look into it and study and advise them. Yeah, if not turn up, then they may not be happy with the space after they move in.
Actually, I hear very good advices. Both of you, if I combine the two advices, right, I will do this. I will organize 一个家庭会议 and then 我会gather them to discuss what are the things that they want to throw away. Then after that, start talking about storage. Because ultimately, 再怎么样去设计那个 storage， 可是那个 space 就是这么大。而且我们每一次讲说 renovate 啊，其实它是一个 reset button 来的。Yeah. So based on 你们两个的 advice, I feel that actually you integrate together, right? It's a very good thing to have the homeowners think about it. Have the 家庭会议 and then think about what are things you want to throw away first. Treat it like a reset button. And you've been living like that forever doesn't mean that is the right way. Is that because 你已经 adapt to it 了 and today 有新的 technology 新的 equipment 好像刚才讲的那个桌子可以升降啊什么它都来配合你的你不用来配合它 Yeah. So with that, right, we come to the end of this interesting episode, special Father's Day episode for the SIXiDER Show. Thank you, Shawn. Thank you, Calvin. And we look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode of the SIXiDER Show. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the subscribe button, share to your friends. Thank you, and goodbye. Happy Father's Day!
Happy Father's Day!